Wolfe caused an uproar among stunned viewers across America when the popular American Pickers star was taken away in handcuffs. Initially, many assumed his arrest was related to some kind of dispute involving antiques or perhaps a professional conflict with the History Channel. However, breaking news reports revealed a far more shocking reason for his arrest. It was revealed that the death of his former co-host, Frits, was not due to natural causes as initially reported. Authorities now considered it a premeditated murder. Medical reports showed that Frits had fatal levels of medication in his system, indicating that he had been intentionally overdosed. Prosecutors charged Wolfe with murder, stating that the crime was calculated and not a random accident. To poison someone who had once been your business partner, someone who trusted you completely, is a notion that many described as incomprehensible. Some even labeled it as pure evil. While many fans of the show believed the tension between Wolfe and Frits was just fabricated for television drama, the reality was far darker. Wolfe found himself behind bars, facing serious allegations for what prosecutors described as a murder motivated by revenge, jealousy, and greed. Social media reports later surfaced, revealing that Wolfe's charges had been temporarily downgraded as investigators worked to gather more evidence. One report even suggested that Wolfe had been arrested after a crew member from American Pickers had placed him at Fritz's residence at the time of his death. The Iowa State Police conducted a thorough investigation, discovering troubling evidence, such as Wolfe's fingerprints on medication bottles and suspicious text messages sent to Frits. These led authorities to pursue first-degree murder charges. The investigation into Fritz's death began when the medical examiner noticed inconsistencies in the toxicology report. Initially, Fritz's cause of death was attributed to complications from a stroke. However, the autopsy revealed dangerously high levels of prescription drugs in his system, far above what would have been necessary for his condition. This raised immediate red flags, particularly because Frits had been rigorously following his medication schedule while recovering. The Iowa State Police quietly initiated an investigation focusing on who had been with Frits in his final hours. What they uncovered stunned even seasoned detectives. Security footage from Fritz's neighborhood showed Wolfe's vehicle arriving at the house late in the evening, about 3 hours before emergency services were called. Later that night, it was Wolfe who had dialed 911, claiming he stopped by to check on Frits and found him unresponsive. When paramedics arrived, they found Frits without a pulse, and all attempts to resuscitate him failed. He was declared dead at the scene. While initial reports suggested that Fritz's death was linked to his previous stroke, the toxicology results told a different story. What made investigators particularly suspicious was Wolfe's actions immediately. After Fritz's passing, instead of grieving, Wolfe acted swiftly to seize control of Fritz's collection and intellectual property. Within 48 hours, he contacted Fritz's attorneys about acquiring rights to his name and image for future American Pickers merchandise. Witnesses from the production team reported that Wolfe appeared unusually focused on business matters, showing little grief. Upon searching Wolfe's home and office, investigators uncovered a hidden safe containing several prescription bottles, later identified as containing the same medications that had been found in Fritz's system. The most damning discovery came when a journal was found in Wolfe's travel bag. In the journal, Wolfe had written extensively about his growing resentment toward Frits, with one entry from just weeks before Fritz's death stating, "F thinks he can come back and take half the spotlight again. He forgets that without me, there would be no show. He's become a liability, and the network is showing me there's only one way to save what I've built." During the trial, Wolfe seemed unnervingly calm, sitting silently beside his defense attorneys as the prosecution outlined how he had meticulously planned Fritz's death. The jury was presented with evidence that Wolfe had researched untraceable poisons and ways to make a murder appear as though it had been caused by natural circumstances. Internet search history revealed queries like, "Can stroke medication interactions be detected after death?" and "How to make someone's death look like stroke complications." The prosecution argued that Wolfe exploited Fritz's prior health problems, using them as a cover for murder. Former crew members testified about noticeable changes in the dynamic between Wolfe and Frits, leading up to Fritz's departure from the show. One assistant recalled overhearing heated arguments about the future direction of the program, with Wolfe demanding sole creative control. He allegedly told Frits that his health issues had cost him the right to equal billing. Several witnesses described Wolfe as becoming more controlling, even speaking disparagingly about Frits to network executives and isolating him from longtime friends in the antique community. Perhaps the most emotional testimony came from Danielle Colby, who, tearfully, recounted confronting Wolfe about his treatment of Frits. She recalled, "I noticed Mike had become obsessed with being the sole face of American Pickers. When I asked him about reconciling with Frank, he became defensive and angry, telling me to stop interfering in things that didn't concern me." The defense attempted to portray their relationship as a misunderstood friendship, suggesting that Wolfe had tried to reconcile with Frits before his death. They brought in network executives who testified that Wolfe had made public statements expressing support for Fritz's recovery. However, this defense crumbled under cross-examination by Fritz's personal doctor. The doctor testified that Frits had been optimistic about his recovery and planning to start his own antique business. Furthermore, the doctor confirmed that he had never prescribed the medications found in Fritz's system at such dangerous levels. As the trial wore on, Wolfe's composure began to falter, especially when directly questioned about whether he had provided Frits with the fatal medications. He snapped at the prosecutor, yelling, "You have no idea what it's like to build something from nothing and watch someone else take credit, smile for the cameras, and act like he was just as important to the show's success." This outburst led to a recess, but the damage was already done. Forensic accountants revealed that Wolfe had made suspicious business changes in the months leading up to Fritz's death, including restructuring his companies to absorb Fritz's intellectual property in case of his incapacitation or death. Additionally, Wolfe had taken out a business insurance policy on Frits, naming his company as the beneficiary of a $5 million payout. After just 4 hours of deliberation, the jury returned with a guilty verdict. When the judge announced his life sentence without the possibility of parole, Wolfe's composed demeanor broke entirely. He jumped to his feet, screaming, "You don't understand. He was going to ruin everything. He was going to destroy my legacy." In a fit of rage, Wolfe lunged across the defense table, sending legal pads and glasses flying. He charged toward Fritz's family, swinging wildly, before being restrained by bailiffs. Chaos erupted in the courtroom, with people rushing toward the exits as Wolfe grabbed an antique walking stick, entered as evidence, using it as a weapon to strike one of the bailiffs. As the doors of the prison closed behind Mike Wolfe, his final words in the courtroom echoed, "Goodbye forever to all of you. The truth will come out someday." Whether these were the desperate cries of a man facing justice or the final manipulations of a skilled performer remains uncertain. What is clear is that the world of American Pickers and reality television will never be the same. The legacy of the show, once centered on preservation and Americana, has been forever tainted by betrayal, murder, and a courtroom outburst that exposed the darkness lurking behind Wolfe's charming public persona.